Hello friends, in this ASP.NET video, I will be showing you how you can connect to Microsoft SQL Server database. Well, I have already created the database and the database is right now inside my app data folder by the name called database. And if I expand the Server Explorer, I will be able to see the name of the table that is there in this particular database along with the attribute of the given table. Right over here I have a table called register, and the register has got three attributes. The very first attribute is an auto increment and the other two are going to be provided by the user, like what you can see over here. So let me just go and click on the button to make sure that what the code I have written for database connectivity. As I scroll up, at the very first line, I have made use of the connection string. The following connection string can be set only if you have included the following two namespaces. They are associated with this particular connection string, where SqlConnection is a class and over here SqlConnection is a constructor. To be very specific, it is a parameterized constructor which is taking the database SQL instance name. By default, when you're installing Visual Studio, you will be getting SQL Server available with this following name, that is SQL Express. As you can see, even in the service also, the SQL Express name is given right over here. Okay, and my database is there within the folder called app. If I go to solution app underscore data, over here my database is located. That's the reason I have made use of data directory, and the following two credential has to be true. So this is the connection string that I have written at the class so that it can be available to all the method that is there in the program. Now as I run the page, if you will notice that the page, so let me close this particular tab and let me open a new tab so that you can figure out. So I'm right clicking on the vacant space and I'm clicking on the view in browser. So that will open the content. And as you can see, the page when it got open, automatically the content of the table is shown to us instantly without me doing anything. And that's the reason why in the page load event I have given a call to not is post back. That means user didn't post the page by clicking any button, rather it came automatically. So when the not is post back will be invoked, that means the page has just opened for the first time, the show underscore user method will be called, and here it is. This particular method is supposed to show the content of the table which is already been provided by the user. Okay, so you might be wondering what will be happening for the first time when there is no record inserted. Well, in that case, this particular portion won't work. I mean to say it will work, but there won't be any data to show. So naturally, there will be no effect of that. But and that's the reason why the user has to click the particular button to insert the record. So let's start with user clicking the button. So as the user does click the button, we come to the button underscore submit. That's the name of the button. If I go to the properties, you will see the button name is button underscore submit. If I go to the event, it has a click event, and if I double click on this particular event, I will still land up in the same place. The first thing I will do is that I will activate the connection string. Then I will be by the way, what I am basically planning to do is that whenever the user will insert a record over here, like for example Rajan, this particular record is already been inserted, so I will put the name of Rajan, and suppose this is the phone number, I'm inserting it over here as well. And now if I click the submit button, it should say data exists. That means couple of data should not be there which is of same identification. Now you might be wondering why this Ravi is there twice. This is what I have done before I have inserted this particular validation. So the verification that has to be done is whether the user is already there or not has to be ensured at first. And the time when I've inserted this to record, that verification was actually not done by me. That's the reason those two records had got been inserted. But now it won't take place. So what I'm doing over here after the button click is I am checking that the following credential which the user has given by that the text name in the text box name, what credential I have given by that, is there any record existing? That's what I'm checking, and for that reason I have given a call to SqlCommand, the class, and it is a constructor which is passing two arguments. The very first argument is your SQL query. Select star from table name where attribute name equals to the container text box. Be very sure I have given wrap with a single quote at first because I'm providing where char. Had that not been so, this first single quote won't be there if it is integer type. So it's a varchar type, so the first code has to be there. It's very important. And the second argument tells you the connection string. That means this particular statement is telling what am I supposed to do, and this is telling where am I supposed to do. Okay. So once this particular SQL command has been created, this reference variable got initialized. Now, one thing we need to understand is the data is holding in the database, and we are actually retrieving the data from the database table to our client side. Now, while we are retrieving the data from the server to the client side, there can be a possibility that a huge amount of data can be retrieved. Well, at this point of time, the where condition is there, so either there will be one record or there will be no record. But let's assume in general instance, if this where condition wouldn't be there, in that case, this particular select star would have retrieved all the n record. If it is so, well, that would be obviously. In that case, your client side need to have a sufficient amount of space at the runtime where the data should be getting stored. And then you are supposed to show them like the way I'm showing it right over here. So in order to store that data, you need to create a virtual buffer memory block. And that's the reason two new classes will be implemented. One is called SQL Data Adapter. What it does is it will receive the SQL command and it fires, and after firing, all the data that actually has been extracted from the table will be right now in your system, I mean to say the client system, will be initially be stored within this SQL adapter. The client will create a virtual matrix which would look very similar to the table that we have used in SQL Server. A virtual matrix will be created, and I have given a name called DT, and this DT is supposed to receive all the data from the SQL adapter with the help of fill function, and that's what it has been done over here. So here the data is actually been stored. From there it is getting filled into the matrix, and after the data has been filled, you can close the connection. Now let's assume if it is the first time no record is there, so naturally inside the data table the number of rows is going to be 0. This would give a representation that the record is not available. In that case, what we are going to do, we are going to again open your connectivity, because I have already closed over here. After opening the connectivity, I am going to perform another new SQL command. Well, I have given a try catch block because there can be a possibility of something going wrong, because we all know that the database won't be at the local system, it will be somewhere in the global. So there might be some unwanted abrupt scenario taking place. To handle such kind of thing, try catch block is very preferable. Now I have given a call to the SQL command constructor, and this time I'm passing again two arguments, the SQL command for insertion, and this is the table name, these are the attributes, these are the places where the following user will give the input. Remember, both are varchar, that's the reason single quote has been wrapped, and then I'm passing where the whole thing will be executed, that is the con. Now after I've created the reference, I'm giving a call to CMD. The CMD will invoke a function called execute non-query. That's the function responsible to execute this particular statement that is there inside the SQL command. Now after the execution of execute non-query, the command or the function is supposed to return a numeric value. Either the value will be greater than 0 or it will be less than 0. If it is greater than 0, it means that the record has been inserted successfully, and if it is less than 0, then it will mean that there has been some kind of issue. Okay, that's the reason this function, this particular statement will be displayed. Whatever be the reason, after that you will be clearing the content of the text box that the user has provided, and then eventually will give a call to the show user function once again, which I have already explained right over here. That means this function is getting called twice, one at the page load for the first time, and after that the user inserting a new value, then again it is getting called. All this thing will be happening provided your row count is 0, that means the user has not provided any record. And if the row count is not 0, that means the user has already provided a record. In that case, your SQL command, this particular SQL command has already got fired and it has a row. So this if statement will not be true, it will come to the else part and it will say data exists. So that's how I'm performing select query, and that's how I'm performing an insert query with having a select condition as well. Now I will be talking about the display part of the record. That means how this particular display is taking place, what the user need to do in order to display the following existing record in the table. So this is the second part of the video. Well, I will say that let's make the first part of video up to this. In the second part, I will talk about how to show the content of a table in the client side. This would be the details I will be mentioning in the next video. So just wait for my next video. Until then, have a nice time.